And I think the reason why people find it hard to forgive is because they reflect back on something that they heard or saw as a child, and they're like, oh, he acting like, I heard my granddad did this. I heard my daddy did this. I heard grandma did this to granddad. And then they start reflecting on that stuff. Hey guys, we're back with another video. Today we have a reaction from Miss Kitty J Rose from over on TikTok. So let's jump right in.
TikTok
I don't
like
know,
that?
I just like to say it like this. Jump in.
It get tricky when people say they forgive, because a lot of times they just want you to feel what they feel.
And that becomes abusive.
And it is abusive because you are in a place of healing, if you even healing yet. You've been wounded. And now you trying to plug your wound up with me.
Right.
Like,
That's not fair.
It's not.
Especially when you choose to maintain the relationship.
Because if you really want to reconcile, you have to leave room for me to actually get through this on my own.
Until people realize that you have to forgive with love, empathy, and harmony, people are still going to be waiting for a person to go through karma. Yep. They're still going to be waiting for transactions, compensation. You have to suffer in order for me to forgive you. Until people understand the reason why you should forgive is to restore the love within myself and possibly through us if we're reconciling. Everyone's going to be stuck in the same place because of their pride and their ego.
One thing we've seen over the years, we obviously dealt with many couples, and we dealt with obviously infidelity and indiscretions and all, and breaches of trust. Basically, anytime you breach a trust relationship, that's forgiveness is needed. It could be a lie, it could be money, it could be anything. It ain't just cheating. Like everybody talks about cheating like this, just but there are many ways to breach trust in a relationship, and once you do that, forgiveness is needed to continue down the road. One thing we always tell couples is, if you choose to stay, you choose to forgive. And we tell them that because if you don't, all you're going to do is you go from being the offended to the offender. You go from being the person that was hurt to the person that's doing the hurting. Yeah. And you see it a lot. So, I've even heard women say, I just stayed so to punish him, basically, so nobody else could have him. A lot of times people will stick around and they won't forgive, and they have a get out of jail free card for the rest of the marriage, relationship, or whatever. Because every time that person does something, or every time that person tries to do, especially let's use it since everybody talks about cheating. Let's use cheating. Let's say the man cheated, and every time that man tries to assert any kind of rules, order, discipline in the home, or especially if it comes to her, that she going, oh, remember what you did? You don't have no say around here. And he's got to tuck tail and run because he's got no recourse. He was wrong. He did offend. He did breach the trust. He did hurt her. He has nothing. There's nothing he can say. It doesn't matter if it was 15, 20 years ago, 50, 20 minutes ago. It doesn't matter. He has nothing to say because he did do that. And so a lot of people walk around with that shame and that guilt saddled on them, and it stifles the relationship. It stifles the productivity at home. It stifles their ability to move on. It's really, really bad when a person chooses not to forgive in a relationship. Yeah. Can you think of a time where you had to forgive me?
Every day. Yeah.
And that's the secret. I think that's the big secret, is that
that's what you do in marriage.
In a marriage, offenses are going to happen. You may not mean it, but something going to happen. She might come home from work one day and I'm not as enthused as she would like me to be to see her, or whatever. Or she might her tongue may be a little sharp that day, and I don't like it. But I have to choose to forgive her. She has to choose to forgive me. That's how you move on. That's how you get down the road. You cannot stop at every turn and just be offended. And then just say, well, I just can't forgive you for that. Why not? Because I know she loves me. And most times she doesn't even mean it. Yeah. So why would I sit there and hold it over her head? But so many people live like that. And they walk around in their homes and do life in offense. And they wonder why they're not happy. They wonder why they can't get along. They wonder why they don't really like being around each other, because you're insufferable.
And they did a poor job in the beginning of the relationship of really discussing what their non-negotiables are. So if you know that infidelity, if we're going to talk about infidelity, if you know that infidelity is like a boundary for you. And once that person crosses it, then you're either out or you have whatever consequence there is. But if you clearly talk about those things in the beginning, then you're able to kind of navigate the relationship. But I think a lot of people don't talk about those things.
Yep.
They get in these relationships and they make decisions, and then something happens and they're like, oh crap, you just gambled all of our money away and we never discussed it.
Yeah.
Or you just whatever the offense is, and they never really discuss what do we do in case of, or this is something that I really am not willing to tolerate or deal with. So this is my non-negotiable. What are yours?
You have to prepare for war before you go to war. You don't get up out of bed one morning, throw on a rucksack, and say, I'm going to war today. You have to prepare for war before you go to war. And in a marriage, if you're truly going to have a marriage that is something that you're going to be proud of and you can be fruitful in, you have to have a contingency plan. You got to have plans in place. Like, you got to know where the landmines are. You got to know where not to step. You got to know those things. And the only way you know that is having deep conversations about how you really feel, not putting up no veneers, being honest about what your deal breakers are. We talked about that openly on this channel. Like, she cheats on me, I'm gone. I can't do it. I can't do it. And my ego, my pride, whatever you want to call it, I cannot do it. Can't do it. That's a deal breaker for me. And she understands and she knows that.
Like, whatever that conversation is, you need to really have those real, sincere conversations. And there's no subject that's taboo. You got to have that conversation so that you know. So
yeah, and I like the word that capture here says, is it fair to excessively punish a person? We don't punish each other.
Yeah,
that's God's job. I don't punish her. She doesn't punish me. Now, if I offend her, then she's gonna tell me, you offended me, I didn't like that, and then I'm going to take the initiative to fix it because I love her. If she offends me, she's gonna take the initiative to make it right because she loves me and she respects me. That's the way it works.
Yeah.
It's not about punishing somebody. And I think these power struggle dynamics that we see in these relationships comes from people who don't know who they are and they don't understand their role in the relationship. There is no power struggle in this home. The hierarchy's been set a long time ago. There is no question who the leader is in this home. There is no question who the heart of this home is. There is no question where the kids fall in line at. There is no question there. So a lot of people go into this thing because they haven't seen it. They haven't seen what a real working, fruitful marriage looks like, and it's sad that, especially for people that share our reflection in our community, that's something that people just don't see that often. It's either like they together but they hate each other, or they're not together at all, and it's really sad. And I think the reason why people find it hard to forgive is because they reflect back on something that they heard or saw as a child, and they're like, oh, he acting like, I heard my granddad did this. I heard my daddy did this. I heard grandma did this to granddad. And then they start reflecting on that stuff. Or my mom made me feel this way when I was a young man, and I don't like the way she makes me feel. So there's a lot of stuff that we haven't dealt with. A lot of things that people don't deal with, and they just tuck it away, swallow it, and then when they get in a situation they don't know how to handle, it comes out. And so then that's why you gotta come see me. You gotta come see us, and we help you work through it. But the problem is that most people don't even like to go anywhere to get help. They want to we can figure it out. No, you can't. If you could figure it out, you wouldn't be on YouTube crying. You wouldn't be on Instagram telling 5,000 your closest friend all your business. You can't. You need help, especially if you didn't see it.
That's the truth.
And so I love Kia J. Rose's. She has some really good conversations, and looks like she's doing a panel here, so that's pretty cool. So with that, guys, that's enough said.